You know that feeling when a room keeps your words after you leave? My sister and I collect rooms like that. We host a horror podcast and record in places that are better at listening than people are. Tonight's location came from a pile of dare messages that all said the same thing. Row E, Seat 13, Miller Street Cinema. If you know, you know. If you don't, keep listening. The theater died in 1974 during a midnight screening. There wasn't a fire or a flood or even a reason. The projector just stopped, and the audience sat in the half-dark watching nothing until sunrise like it was part of the show. After that, the doors were chained, but the town kept hearing claps from the building, like applause that forgot how to end. Places like this prefer old machines. So I brought a reel-to-reel recorder I bought from a retired DJ. The case smells like dust and hot pennies when it warms up. Leela, my younger sister, the half of the podcast people call the brave one, wrapped her red scarf twice and told me I worry for sport. I told her she mispronounced host. We laughed, but softly, the way you laugh in church. Inside, velvet seats had collapsed into themselves, the color of dried cherries. Posters along the foyer curled like yellow leaves. Our boots made syrupy sounds on the floor, as if every spilled soda from the 70s had been waiting to be stepped in again. The air held that old electric tanning. I said, 5-minute episode, 2-sentence horror challenge, in and out. Leela saluted with a chipped black thumbnail. Row E sits close to the screen, low and vulnerable, the row for people who want to be swallowed. Seat 13 had a gouge in the armrest. Clap if you're there. Not written with a marker, but carved like a promise. I set the mic between us. The cable drooped like a jump rope between childhood and whatever tonight was. I pressed record. The reels began to spin. 2 silver eyes deciding if we were worth seeing. To start, we always traded 2-sentence stories, like tossing lit matches and seeing which one lands. Leela leaned in and whispered her first. 2 kids sneak into a closed cinema. They sit where the audience used to sit, until the audience sits where the kids used to breathe. Somewhere above us, a single clap answered, not loud, not close, but honest. We looked up at the balcony the way you check a mirror that's not yours. I mouthed, pipes. Leela mouthed, sure. We went again. I wrote mine on my phone earlier and pretended I hadn't. With each ending, claps multiplied, uneven and polite like rainfalls learning how to be hands. Dust rose in a beam that didn't come from any working projector, turning the air into a snow globe nobody wanted to shake. I lifted one headphone ear to make sure I wasn't borrowing echoes. That's when I heard it. A thread-thin voice laying under mine, like a prompt track, speaking a half-breath early. Did you hear that? I asked, still pretending this was good radio and not a bad decision. What? Leela said, but I could tell she'd heard something too. The track was me, but not me, finishing my sentences before I got there, like someone walking ahead of me and phoning back the route. I swallowed. My mouth tasted like old copper wire. One more, then we play it back, I said. Then we're done. For the last round, I didn't read from my phone. I let the room have something new. 2 sisters record a podcast in an empty theater, I said. On playback, the audience laughs in all the places the story doesn't have jokes. The recorder's red light stared. The reels slowed, as if the machine were thinking. I pressed stop, and the clapping, wherever it had nested, went quiet, like birds deciding it's suddenly winter. I rewound with my thumb on the hub the way the DJ had shown me. The tape ticked back, an insect learning to walk backward. I pressed play. Our voices floated out into the auditorium and came back a fraction later, softer. But they weren't right. Between my lines, the second me spoke, just ahead, just confident, whispering what I was about to say next, word for word. She wasn't echoing. She was feeding me my own future. Then the second voice added a sentence I hadn't said. Don't look at row E, seat 13. I didn't move. Leela did. She turned because that's what Leela does. She looks where the sign says not to. In the projector beam sat a shape wearing a red scarf tied too high, the knot pinched into a little smile. For a heartbeat, I thought Leela had left her scarf there earlier, and the shape was just dust acting ambitious. Then the knot on her neck tugged, the loose end rising on its own, tightening a 1/4 inch. She grabbed it with both hands and laughed the way people laugh when they're testing a chair that will break. Enough, I told the room, like talking to a dog that might be yours. We'll go. The recorder bumped against my hip as I stood. It was still rolling. I hadn't meant to let it. Leela's breath came fast, sectioned into small, checked pieces. The aisles felt longer than on the way in, as if the building had added footage while we weren't looking. At the doors, the metal bars lifted with a sigh I didn't provide. Night pushed inside in a coil of fog, as if the outside had been holding its breath for us. Flyers lifted off the floor and made a gentle storm. We ran. No one chased, unless you count a sound. Behind us, the claps reorganized into a rhythm, the kind you hear at concerts when the crowd tries to become a single animal. Home sounded like the inside of a seashell, quiet but shaped. I set the recorder on my desk and pressed play, because that's what podcasters do, even when it's the last thing we should do. The third voice finished the episode for us. We asked if anyone was there. They answered, "We are if you say we are." On the meters, the needles kept twitching after the words ended, like something was breathing through the wire. I stopped the tape. It didn't stop right away. We cut the file for the show, trimmed the frayed ends, added a content warning that sounded like a dare. You can listen to the raw version if you search hard enough. The internet is a theater that never closes. But if you do, don't repeat the lines under mine. Rooms like that, learn quickly. People keep asking what seat we chose for the edit. The answer's simple. We never left row E. We only took the sound home. And sometimes, when I practice the intro out loud, the applause starts early, like a studio audience you can't see, waiting for me to say my name so it can have one too. We went looking for a room that could keep our words. It did, and now it keeps them faster than we can speak.